Hey everybody, it's Randy with Carchaeology, and I don't really have a good process or progress video here for you on any particular car, because this week we worked a little bit on everything. So I thought I'd do a little recap of what we've been up to this week and show you the progress on each of the cars. So Pearl has received a little bit of action this week. We've gone through and cleaned out the fuel tank, drained out all the old gas. We blew through the lines to make sure that everything was clear there. And then we tried to get it running off of its own fuel pump and off its own fuel source. We obviously did have it running off of an alternate fuel source, but you can't just run around with a can of gas to pour into that carburetor. So what we realized is that the fuel pump is bad, which is really no surprise. These things tend to dry up. The diaphragms in there get a little bad. And so we've got the fuel pump out here, and I have ordered up a new kit so that we can rebuild that. But in the meantime, all of the fuel lines are clear from front to back. And once we get that fuel pump up front and some fresh gas out back, we should be able to fire this up and then maybe even take it for a drive. So the Rosenstiel Coupe I have put here into the lab. I've kind of stuck it in the back corner here because it's definitely going to be a long-term project. And so I've got it kind of stuffed back in here. It's out of the weather, and I can come in here with my coffee or my favorite adult beverage and sit and stare at it and figure out what I'm going to do next. And I do think that probably the first step in my mind is to start with some of the cosmetic work on the engine compartment, underneath the front hood, and the interior. I'm going to paint all of that stuff, and that'll allow me to lay wiring and stuff in there. And then hopefully get it up and running. Having the engine compartment painted when we get the engine in there and get it running and stuff will be good. That way we're not getting grease into the primer or anything like that. And the benefit of that is I can get it running and driving. I can really see how everything fits. I can spend some more time on working bodywork issues and things like that. There's still a fairly rough surface to deal with here. There's still some metal work and things to do, or at least finish work on the top. Little things, trying to get the deck lid to fit a little bit better here. And then I need to get glass cut for it. I need to try to make the windows work in the doors, and just make sure that everything lines up and works. Plus, I kind of like to run it around looking ratty for a while because it's kind of cool. But if I can get it up and running and driving, have a little fun with it that way, I can take my time focusing on the finished body work and then eventually blow it apart, respray the outside of everything, put it back together, and have a finished car. And then swinging across the crowded lab here to Rose, the Imperial. We basically did the same thing with Rose that we did with Pearl and started focusing on the fuel system. So the fuel tank in the back here was pretty well clogged. We tried blowing the lines out, didn't get any luck with that. We ended up removing the tank and really kind of checking it all out. We blew a lot of pressure into it, which actually was helpful because it blew out a couple of dents that were in the tank. And opening up the tank, we realized that it's actually pretty clear in there. In fact, let me walk out front here. I'll show you the tank. Anyway, the tank is really pretty clean inside. There was no rust or nastiness in there that I really noticed. However, the fuel pickup is totally clogged. So if I pull this out of here, maybe I can't do this on camera, or maybe I can. Dealing with a little bit of rain here. Oh, come on now, love that cork float, really cool. Anyway, it's quite clean in there. Unfortunately, you can't see it unless I get some light on it, but the fuel pickup is clogged. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this tank over to a local radiator shop that services fuel tanks and have them boil it out, make sure that all the openings are clear, and then we can reassemble or reinstall that, and then get Rose running on her own fuel source. And then also lined up on projects here, I have the original wheels for Duck. I've got them off of the car, and I'm going to bring them to town, have them media blasted, and have them powder coated in black. And then once I get them back from powder coating, I'm going to mask off the centers and then paint the outside with the blue-white color that should be on there. Because factory, that's the way it was, black in the center with this blue-white on the outside. And the reason I'm going with that route is that the paint is so thick on these wheels. This one's probably the better of the 5, but some of the other ones were painted with a brush, and that paint is super thick, and it would just take forever to sand all of that stuff off of there. So might as well go all the way, have them stripped, have them powder coated, do it right, and then I can get tires mounted up and get those on the car. And other progress has happened on Duck as well. So I've spent some more time with further polishing. The more I touch it, the better it gets there. I've spent a fair bit of time up front with cleaning out the spare tire well here, getting all the years of grease off of there. I've got one of the headlights out. I realized when I first picked it up that the driver's side headlight lens has been changed, and so I found in my stash an original Hella glass lens, which I've replaced in that headlight so that it's all nice and factory. And I'm going to put all that back together. I'm getting ready to rip out the hood seal as well as the fender beading up front to replace that. Also found some good tweeter pipes in my parts stash. The ones that are on there are blown out, and so I'm going to replace those so it has that proper fweem. But Duck is looking really good. I'm really falling for this bug. Another thing I did also is I picked up some touch-up paint from paintscratch.com, which is a great source for finding touch-up paints. And I've started to go around and fix some of the chips and scratches. So I've got a fairly sizable one here that I'm going to take my time with to see if I can get that to work in, do some careful sanding and blending and see. But the touch-up is actually pretty darn good. There were several chips on this rear fender that I've gone through and touched up. And you don't see them there at all, which is great. So the color is actually pretty darn close, and I'm very pleased with that. And probably the biggest thing I'm excited about with Duck is getting the original wheels and tires back on it. I'm trying to decide if I want to go with white walls or go with just plain black wall radials. So please register your vote. Let me know what you think. And hopefully really soon, I'll be getting the new seat cover set so that I can finish off the interior. But as I said, I'm really falling in love with this little bug. I want to spend some time driving this and having some fun with it. There's nothing like a really nice, solid, original Beetle as far as just a fun little car to bang around with. And Duck is a good one. So anyway, that's the basics of what we've been up to in the shop this week. Still reeling and writhing in the success of the sale of Mog the Manx and the pinball machine. It's going to be a while before we see the funds for those two items. But once that stuff rolls in, well, then it's party time, and we can really start putting some money into some of the projects, maybe even get some new tools, do some different things around the shop here that I've been dying to do for a long time. So anyway, that's a little update. Thanks very much for watching. Hope you guys had a great week. Keep on digging them up and driving them. Bye-bye.